Hi, I'm Panic from Mojo Sound Studios in Helsinki, Finland. I want to show you a clever little amp that I built. It took me 2.5 years of thinking about how I was going to pull this thing off, and here it is. All handmade in Finland, all hand-wired, 1960s technology of just point-to-point wiring the old-fashioned way to build you the classic amp that never existed. Here's why. It's based on the Marshal, original Marshal, that was taken from the 1959 Bassman. And I wanted it all to be in one package. Turns out we made it even cooler than that. So now we have a Marshal bass, Marshal lead, as well as the separate section for the Fender 1959 Fender Bassman. All three preamps can be played at the same time or singularly, all blendable together. So you can get that nice clean jangle of the Fender side and slowly roll in a little bit of that growly sound out of that Marshal. So these are sounds that you've never played before. So many combinations I can't even explain in this, however long this video will be. You can plug any octal tube into it, the EL34, the 6L6, 6V6, KT88, KT66, 5881. It's endless. That gives you the quick versatility to change this amp into anything that you want it to be. That's never been done before. I also wanted to just point out that the versatility of this amp goes beyond different types of distortion. What is really incredible about this amplifier is that we've plugged in an acoustic guitar and it sounded wonderful. At the same time on that stage presentation, we went from acoustic to jazz to funk to country pickin' to metal at the end. So everything that you could possibly want out of an amplifier, from acoustic to metal and everything in between, that's what you can do with this amp. There are a lot of features on this amp. It's going to take a while to get through them all. So let's just start from the left to the right. When you're running active pickups, you're going to want to use your high input, low for everything that doesn't require battery. You've got your Marshal bass, Marshal lead, your control between bass, both, or with lead. Both is always preferred. Treble mid bass, and then you also have a boost on the Marshal here. Now for the Fender controls, you also have a bright AF, which is fantastic. Gives you a lot more control and clean sound. So your preamp, treble mid bass, and now your shared controls between both. You've got your reverb, high-low reverb switch, which is handy. Tremolo speed, tremolo intensity. You got your presence and your master volume. Also, negative feedback. That's never been on a Marshal before. Very handy, little crunchy around the edges. Nice little sounds. And your standby and power. These are all wonderful things, but what you also need with an amplifier is a foot switch. Here, let me show you. We have your tremolo on and off, reverb, Marshal versus Fender, and you can have it with the light on or off, whatever makes your brain work. So Marshal or Fender, or you can have them both on, which is very handy to be able to have that extra boost set up if you're going to play clean, but you don't want to lose your clean, but you want to give it a little extra boost. That's why you have that fantastic option of having either or both Fender or Marshal arrangements. The other cool thing about this foot switch is it has a kill switch, because I always wanted a kill switch because that's just fun. But because it was also convenient, we put a mute switch in it, so you don't have to go back to your amplifier all the time to hit the standby. You can just mute it and you're good. So handy little feature. Also, this works on an 8-pin MIDI cable. Very convenient. Let's open up the Kentauri and have a look at what makes it tick. All hand done leather. Makes it look very cool. And also a little quick retainer that leaves the cover open. Let's have a look inside. Oh, you can't see it from there. Let's just make it easier for you. Let's show you a quick little feature. Without any tools. Bam. So here we go. We've got the power transformer, all your preamp tubes over here, which are easy to just pop and switch around. Handy little light so you can see inside without looking for a flashlight. And you've got 2 banks of power tubes, which you can plug anything in you want. It's got a quick switch back and forth between this bank of tubes or these. Also, you have the option of solid state rectifier or tube rectification, which is a very handy feature, not often seen. So we'll eventually take you around the back and show you how this thing works. A couple months ago, I didn't even know how to bias an amplifier. It's kind of crazy, huh? So I wanted to make my life easier for putting different tubes in and out and not having to carry a different meter, an electrical meter with me. I didn't want to carry tools like screwdrivers. I just wanted to be able to play my amplifier and enjoy the rest of my day learning how the thing works instead of having to be an electrical engineer all the time. So here we go. I want to show you how simple it is to change a tube. Here we have an EL34, very standard fare, must have in every Marshal setup, but I just noticed that the biasing was a little low. Tubes should be, by the recommendations of the manufacturers, around 70% of their capacity. It's like running your car at 100% all the time. You don't really want to do that. It's going to shorten the life. And same here. If you run your tubes at 100%, we don't know how long it's going to last. So the recommendation is 70%, and that math works out to about 44 millivolts. So here I'm testing how this tube is, the one to the far right, and we're at 38.5 millivolts. It's a little bit low. So what I'm going to do is take out my handy screwdriver. We're at 38, and I want to be at 44. So stick the screwdriver in, pop this up a little bit. 44. Bam. It's good. Put your screwdriver back in. That's how easy it is to bias a tube. Now let's change a tube. These have been off. Careful not to burn your fingers. You'll learn pretty quick. So I had some 6L6s on this side. It's going for a nice clean sound. And here I want to change any tube selections that I want. Let's try with a KT88. So these are matched tubes, and these will require around 70 millivolts. Spin it around. It's like plugging in a light bulb. Now we're going to switch over here to this bank of tubes, and we can watch in real time as these heat up. Takes about 5-8 seconds for any reading at all, but you can see they're glowing. And a few more seconds time, we will watch a tube ramp up, heating in real time. There we go. We've already hit 7, 10 volts, 23. We're cooking up pretty quick. Now, because this was set up for the 6L6, oh, actually we're running pretty hot now. So now we're already at 78. We're going to cool that down. We want to be at around 70. and as it warms up, you'll get a more steady reading. So here we go. We're at 70. We've changed the tubes, we've changed the sound, and we've safely biased the amp very quickly. You can get this down to about 15-20 seconds to changing your tubes back and forth. Very, very convenient. Another clever feature, we're on tube rectification. Now we're on solid state rectification. You don't need any lag time at all. You can just bounce between the two and see what sounds best for you. Here's another feature, there's fixed bias, which is you can change the voltage, or cathode bias, you go to half power. So if you're running KT88s, you're running 80 watts. If you're at EL34s, they're only going to put out around 50 watts. So if you want to put it down to 25 watts or for 40 watts, bam, there you go. Very simple. Next standard feature, 4, 8, or 16 ohms for the speakers that you choose. You got your reverb connections, 8-pin connector for your foot switching. And if you don't have the foot switch with you that day, you can actually change your tremolo, your reverb, and operate Marshal versus Fender, or have both running at the same time. Now, there's more tonal qualities to be found at the speaker, whether you have a closed back or an open back. I like them both, and in the studio it's very handy to have several different combinations of speakers, whether they're Alnico or ceramic magnet, but also the open and closed back. And you don't want to constantly go back and forth with your screwdrivers. I like the simple way. I like to have an open back. It's very handy and very fast. And sometimes you want to check, is closed back the way to go? Just give it a little bump, bam. Nice sealed up, close, tight. So, it's a hinge. It's very simple. Don't have to fool around with any tools. And some things don't need to be complicated. A little Velcro makes your life a little bit simpler and happier. So, open back. Closed back for those metal tunes that you want to get that nice little punch. There you go. Open back, closed back. Power tubes. They're really an essential part of your sound. I don't think I have to tell you that, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Play with different tubes. It makes an immense difference in how you react and how you have a relationship with your amplifier and with your guitar. It's such a dramatic difference to go between a KT88 versus an EL34. That's why I set this up that you can flip between the two different banks in one easy switch. It takes about 10 seconds, and that little dip of power, you back into a whole different section of tube power setup. When you order your amplifier, I think you will want the stereo amp. True stereo amp where both of these are on all the time. No need to switch between the two. They're just on and off with your foot switch. That's going to be an amazing new leap in your tonal possibilities. So be aware, there's KT88, there's 6v6, there's EL34, 5881. Anything that's an octal tube is going to play into this thing and make a very incredible sound experience for you. I know what you're thinking. Panic. That looks really great in aluminum. And the anodized aluminum looks fantastic. I agree. I know. It looks great. But if you want to explore different colors, I have some options for you. Good. Everything goes with copper. That's an option. You can have a copper covered amplifier. We can even make this whole lid out of copper. Or check this out. To have your mind blown, black anodized copper. This is very unique. You can get a little bit of wear on it and then it just has that nice copper feel, but the rest of it's still black. You get that nice road worn effect going on. So you could do it all out of that. And we can hand paint this whatever color you want, as well as the leather. You want purple leather? We can make purple leather. I'm not going to pass any judgment on that. But heck, pink leather, green leather, it's all available. We'll customize this amp for you. Right now I'm setting up for audio samples, which you're going to want to get your ears into. And I also want to show you how I've set this up so that we've taken a scientific approach to make sure that there's nothing that you can point to and say, aha, you didn't use that and you didn't use this setup. So we're going to reamp here. I've hired an amazing guitar player to write a piece for us, and he recorded it directly into the computer. So no amplification, no pedals, no nothing, just a guitar, a chord, and a computer. Now I'm running that through the wall into this reamper. Let's see what reamper we're using today. It's a Torpedo Reload, an excellent piece of equipment, but any reamp box will do. And right now I have a signal coming in. So from the computer through the wall to the reamp box into the amplifier, and now recording into an SM57. Didn't want to use any exotic microphones that you might not have at home. Everybody knows what a 57 will do. So all the audio takes that you're going to be listening to now are set up this exact way. All the only things that will be changed is different tubes and different settings, and I will let you know of all those changes. Thanks for listening. So I've shown you a little bit about what Kentauri can do for your sound. The only thing you got to do now is get your butt down to Helsinki. Come over to the studio and play it for yourself. And if you can't get here too quickly, don't worry. Other people are playing it, and we're going to post more of these on the website and on our sound page. Some of the most incredible musicians in the world have already come and played it. Can't wait for you to hear it. So check out our links, get on our webpage, like us on Instagram and Facebook, and keep in touch. Thanks.